What's with that attitude? You're a wife, no. A glaring mother-in-law. I've decided to live with Mom. If you don't like it, let's get a divorce. My husband calmly announced something shocking. What are they talking about? Am I supposed to go back home and do all the housework, even though I'm at my parents' house to give birth? And what does living together even mean? If you let Mom help with childcare, you should be able to focus on the housework. Where has the kind husband I knew gone? I was overwhelmed with sadness, anger, and now despair. Isn't that weird? That was my brother, reacting to the story. Listen, will you try doing what I say tomorrow? My brother begins to explain a plan to uncover the truth. My name is Gina, and I'm 32 years old. I'm pregnant with my first child, who is due very soon. I'm planning to go back to my parents' house tomorrow because the due date is near. No. Don't lift heavy things when you're so pregnant, I'll do it. My husband, Neil, worried and packed in my stead. He was very kind and reliable. Don't live sloppily even when I'm not around. Our new house, which was just completed last year, was kept clean because of my habits of tidying up. Of course, I'll keep it clean and wait for you to come out. My husband said this while rubbing my belly. It was a very happy moment. However, one phone call shattered that happiness. My mood suddenly dropped as I saw the name displayed on the screen. Hello, Gina. The sharp voice of my mother-in-law pierced my ears. Aren't you going back to your hometown for childbirth? I told you to stop because it's disgraceful. I was utterly exhausted from her daily calls. While she appeared kind on the surface, her remarks and criticisms towards me never ceased. Are you just lazing around at home? Well, that must be nice. You are hungry? You're eating too much. Planning to gain more weight. You're already fat enough. And she boasted about her own parenting experience, continuing to lecture me day and night. My son turned out fine because I raised him right, so you won't go wrong following my advice. I was all about breastfeeding and using cloth diapers. I don't remember struggling at all, Gina. You're just being spoiled. The worst part was her comparing me to my husband's ex-girlfriend. His previous girlfriend was bright, honest, and a good girl. Why are you so defiant? I was at a loss for words. This situation was so stressful that I asked my husband several times to make it stop, but the calls never ceased. My kind husband probably found it hard to speak up. However, if this continues even after the child is born, I don't think I can tolerate it. Gina, are you listening? Yes, I'm listening. Don't go back to your hometown. What are you thinking, leaving my poor baby Neil alone? What about you? How can you still think of a grown-up man as a baby? We live in the same city, so I can come back quickly. It's not about the distance. But I've already informed my parents. Your parents? Whose child are you planning to have? Once again, an anachronistic remark from my mother-in-law bursted out. Is it not my child? Saying something like that would surely enrage her. At that moment, my husband took the call instead. Mom, didn't I tell you before? I have an important business trip starting tomorrow until the due date, so it's safer for Gina to go back to her hometown. Hey, did we talk about that? We decided together. Neil, why would you say that? Then, can you take care of her instead, Mom? I can't do that. My mother-in-law answered immediately. I would also like to refuse. She can't manage housework at all, and her house was always a mess. Moreover, she had 2 dogs and 2 cats, which are very cute, but kept in a way that was not hygienic. I suspect I'm allergic to cats, so even the midwife advised me not to go there. I have to take care of the dogs and cats, so I can't look after Gina. Then it can't be helped, right? Why does it turn out like this? I gave birth alone and went back to work right away. Gina is just being spoiled. Mom, is it okay if something happens to your grandchild? I didn't say anything like that. My husband took his time calming down my mother-in-law, who was not conducive to discussion. It's probably not that she had any ill intentions. I understand she was enthusiastic as someone with parenting experience, and she was probably just excited about her first grandchild. However, with me being pregnant, I couldn't accommodate her. I was truly grateful that my husband stood up for me. Don't worry, it's all right. Encouraged by my husband, I went ahead with the plan and returned to my parents' home as scheduled. If there were no issues, I would stay at my parents' house until the baby's 1-month checkup. In addition to my parents, my brother's family lives on the same property, and they have 3 children, the youngest of whom was just born recently. My sister-in-law was experienced, so she should be able to support me smoothly through childbirth. Though I felt lonely with my husband away, it was comforting to have my mother, who is good at cooking and caring, and my sister-in-law, who is experienced in childcare. I spent some peaceful time at my parents' house for a while. The day before the due date, labor began, and I gave birth safely. My husband was still on a business trip. It was unfortunate that he couldn't make it, but I sent him an email with photos to announce the arrival of our new family member. It's unavoidable that one can't choose the timing of childbirth. I'm still not in perfect health postpartum, but I'm working hard to care for the newborn. Despite my studies, it was a struggle since this was my first child. The baby cried day and night, and just holding them made my shoulders stiff. I was busy every day breastfeeding and changing diapers. The pain from childbirth still lingered, and my sleep was light. I was exhausted as my physical recovery wasn't going as planned. Yet, nothing compared to the sweetness of my child. I could look at my child forever. Even its crying face moved me, overflowing with vitality. I was really grateful that the hospital had banned visits as a precaution against infections. If my mother-in-law had been there, I might have been drained, not just physically but mentally as well. The day of discharge came all too quickly. My husband was supposed to come pick me up, but a sudden work issue came up, and my brother came instead. I understand that work is important, but I really wanted to show our child to my husband soon. He was so looking forward to it, he's sure to be overjoyed. However, 3 days passed, then a week, and still my husband hadn't come to visit. Isn't that weird? Our child has been born, you know? I thought he would come rushing over right away. Both my parents and my brother's family were concerned as well. I knew he was busy with work even before the birth, but I thought he could at least make some time to visit. Now I was starting to get a bad feeling. I messaged him to call me when he had some free time, but he ignored the message, and my anxiety was growing. I tried calling him when I thought he'd be done with work, but he didn't answer. Why was that? Finally, he called back, but it was almost midnight. "Oh, you were awake." "Huh. I thought you were sleeping." Does anyone normally call thinking the other person might be asleep? More importantly, I was relieved to finally be able to talk. I was just feeding the baby. But are you really that busy? Yeah, a bit. He sounded just like always, as if he couldn't sense my worry or urgency. Come quickly and see the baby. We also need to register the child's birth. What's wrong? That's something anyone can do, right? Huh. Despite it being late at night, I couldn't help raising my voice. Sorry, I'm just really busy right now. I understand, but still. Just then, our child, who had just been fed a little while ago, started crying again. Next, is it time for a diaper change? The name we decided on before is fine, no changes. What? I saw the baby's face in the email. Please submit the documents. Wait, but I have to get up early tomorrow, so I'm hanging up. The call ended unilaterally just like that. For a moment, I was so shocked that my thoughts froze. Gradually, sadness began to well up inside me. No matter how busy, being treated so impersonally felt awful. Postpartum, my emotions were unstable, and being spoken to in such a manner just made me sigh deeply. But perhaps this was the reality. My beloved child was right in front of me, but for my husband, his daily life hadn't changed. Maybe switching to becoming a parent overnight was hard for him. I thought seeing our child's face might change his feelings. I considered returning home earlier than planned for my husband's sake, but my mother and sister-in-law persuaded me not to push myself. Still, I had a bad feeling. My husband's indifferent attitude bothered me. Even the incessant calls from my mother-in-law before the birth had stopped. I sent several emails, but no replies came. It's not that I was waiting for her to contact me, but I was anxious about what was happening. While I pondered this, the days filled with caring for the newborn continued. Before I knew it, 2 weeks had passed. Eventually, my brother registered my child's birth. My parents helped out during the day, so I could sleep relatively well. My strength was gradually returning. Suddenly, I received a call from my husband. Hello, Neil. I have something to tell you. Unlike me, cheerful at the thought of finally meeting, Neil's voice was serious. Is something wrong? Can you come back home right now? Right now. What's so urgent all of a sudden? Our child had just fallen asleep, and I was still in my pajamas. What's the matter? Is there a problem? Just come back right now. I could sense something unusual in Neil's voice. What could have happened when he said right now? It must have been something extremely serious. I left our child with my mother, who couldn't hide her distress, and got into the car, still in my pajamas. What could have happened? Drive safely, don't rush. I told myself, trying to stay calm, but the red light seemed longer than usual, and I grew increasingly anxious. About 10 minutes later, I arrived at home. With a sense of caution, I clutched my mobile phone tightly as I entered the house. In the living room, Neil and my mother-in-law were there, relaxing and drinking tea. What? This was nothing like the dire scenario I had imagined, and I stood there dumbfounded. As I tried to grasp what was happening, I noticed something odd about the house. What's going on here? The small plant from the shelf, the stuffed animals from the cushions, the clock that was on the wall. They were all gone. I got rid of them because they weren't to my taste. There was no sign of regret on my mother-in-law's face. These were things I was deeply attached to. And I'm using the room at the back on the second floor. I couldn't understand what she meant. Looking at Neil for help, his face was colder than I had ever seen it. Neil, why did you urgently call me back? What's going on? Answer me. Neil remained silent, and it was my mother-in-law who spoke. I can't tolerate this anymore. What? How long do you plan to stay away from home? You are a wife, so you should do your duties around the house. Come back quickly and prepare our dinner. I couldn't comprehend her words. I was too stunned to react. I was supposed to stay at my parents' house until the baby's 1-month checkup. What's with that attitude? You're a wife, no. A glaring mother-in-law. Desperately, I managed to ask Neil, "What is this all about?" Neil answered calmly, "I've decided to live with my mother." What? If you don't like it, let's get a divorce. Wait a minute, what's happening? Did I do something wrong? I don't understand. Why? Tears ran down my face as I pleaded. Seeing this, Neil and his mother looked at each other and laughed. Are we going to live together or not? Which is it? At that moment, 2 dogs and 2 cats ran down the stairs from the second floor. I sneezed unexpectedly. Yes, these pets are coming with me too. They're my precious family. Haven't I told you that I might be allergic to cats? What are you talking about? You haven't been diagnosed, have you? It might just be in your head. I hurriedly covered my face with a handkerchief, but my eyes and nose began to itch. Upon closer inspection, I noticed that the wallpaper and pillars were scratched in places. Apparently, these were marks from clawing. Our new house was being ruined. I couldn't possibly live with untrained pets and a baby. I was baffled why Neil, who knew about my allergy, would suggest such a living arrangement. Why are we starting to live together now? I can't accept this at all. If you let Mom help with the childcare, you can focus on the household chores. Don't make decisions selfishly. And why did you throw away my things without asking? Well, they were in poor taste. What? I didn't want to hear that from a mother-in-law who goes shopping in an old jersey her son used to wear. Neil said, "Just make dinner quickly." But I began to doubt if this was really my husband. I was overwhelmed by despair, beyond sadness and anger. He didn't even care about how our child was doing now. My confused mind recalled the face of my child, and I finally regained my composure. I don't need such a husband, such a father anymore. Talking was useless. I decided to divorce. The tears weren't from sadness, but from my cat allergy. I hurried back to my parents' house. The moment I saw my sleeping child's face, I couldn't stop the tears anymore. Seeing me in tears, my brother became concerned and asked what had happened. I explained how I was forced into living together and how the house had been completely changed. Even though the cats were no longer there, I couldn't stop crying. "Isn't that strange?" my brother said, tilting his head. "Suddenly all this happened. I wonder if something else is going on? Maybe," he murmured to himself. "Are we just going to leave it like this? I hate it, but I don't know what to do." "You hate it, right?" "Of course. I'm angry, confused, and frustrated. Listen, will you try doing what I say tomorrow?" The next day, I put on an apron and a mask and headed back to the house where my husband was. The floors of the house hadn't been cleaned and were covered with pet hair. Laundry and trash were scattered everywhere, making the sanitary conditions poor. Without complaining, I began to clean each room diligently. My mother-in-law watched contentedly. It seems like you finally understood your duties as a wife. Bring the grandchild over quickly. Yes, I'll bring them as soon as I finish cleaning. When will you be done? By tomorrow. That's too late. Hurry up. Sorry. I'll make sure everything is spotlessly clean so that you and the pets can be comfortable. That's only natural. Let her say what she likes. I smirked to myself. Then, I'll come back tomorrow. Please do. Unaware of anything, my mother-in-law acted arrogantly. This was her last moment of reprieve. The plan was progressing smoothly. Back at my parents' house, I hugged my child, whom my mother had been looking after. My mother-in-law had been urging me to bring the grandchild quickly. I was at my limit. I would never let her hold my child. My brother, who had been waiting, played a video that had been recorded. The screen showed my mother-in-law and my husband. It was footage taken today with a small camera I had set up in the house while I was cleaning. Once the cleaning is done and the house is tidy, we'll get her to leave. A little pressure and she'll fold. Hurry up, she is waiting for me. See, that's why I always said you were better off with your ex-girlfriend? I really should have listened to you, Mom. That daughter-in-law is stubborn, unfriendly, and allergic to cats. I only appreciate her for giving me a grandchild. My girlfriend and I don't want kids anyway. That's fine. I'll raise the grandchild and have them take care of me in the future. What outrageous things were they saying? Anger welled up from the depths of my heart. The latest cameras really are great. While my brother seemed impressed, I had no room to listen to that conversation. I felt so angry I was nauseous. And then I understood that it really was as I had suspected. They never intended to live together from the start. They were planning to take over our home, control my child, drive me out, and restart life with the ex. After leaving my child with our mother, my brother and I quickly left the house. Watch out. I cannot forgive the things you've done and your petty schemes. Seeing me return unexpectedly, they were shocked. Did you come back to continue cleaning? Yes, exactly, I replied. This time, I've come to dispose of a big piece of trash. My brother is here to help. Don't make a fuss. Of course. Now, if you both would kindly proceed to the trash can. What? Confused, they hesitated, so I decided to explain in detail. It's not me who is being driven out, it's you. Their complexions changed. What are you talking about? I'm opposed to the forced cohabitation plan. I cannot accept being driven out so his ex-girlfriend can move in. What? I appreciate the divorce. However, I absolutely will not let go of my child. Why are you saying this? As the two became panicked, my brother calmly said, "Everything was recorded on camera. We have the footage." A camera? Don't joke around. How did you? I placed it today while cleaning. As I answered calmly, they exclaimed, "What?" That's an invasion of privacy. Doing something like that without permission, isn't that a crime? The two of them were furious. I remained composed and explained, "I installed the camera for your mother's sake." What do you mean? For my sake? Yes, I thought it would be helpful for you to be able to watch over your precious pets while you were away. During a test, I accidentally overheard your conversation. What did you say? My husband's face turned pale. Hey, I really want to hear this. While I was risking my life giving birth to your child, what were you doing? He stammered, seemingly at a loss for words. Mother, do you maybe know anything about this? After all, you liked his ex-girlfriend, didn't you? Was this your doing? It's not my fault. I just came over to make dinner for my son who had returned from a business trip, and there she was. And it was you who suggested that the three of us live together in this house, wasn't it? I was only hiding your affair to make things easier for you. The two of them desperately continued making excuses. Why did you bring the ex-girlfriend home? Was the business trip a lie? It wasn't a lie. I just happened to run into her while on the trip, and we went out for drinks after a long time, and one thing led to another. One thing led to another, he flustered. I glared at my husband, my disgust evident. It wasn't intentional, but she started saying how pitiful I was, being neglected by you. Huh. I was incredulous at his words. Neglected. Who has been neglecting whom? In fact, isn't that true? You always used pregnancy as an excuse to avoid going out or eating together. My feelings have been continuously ignored. What are you talking about? You agreed that it was okay. I never agreed. I've been enduring it. Why don't you treat me with importance? I'm always kind, but you never appreciate it. My husband's behavior turned defiant and childish. It was unbelievable that an adult would say such things. Was this his true self? I felt utterly disappointed. Comparing himself to our unborn child and voicing grievances was completely beyond my comprehension. Then, my ex said, "Whenever you're tired of being a dad, I'm here to comfort you." And while I was away at my parents' house, she had been comforting him. What did she mean by being a dad? Nothing had even started yet. I picked up my smartphone and called the woman who should be part of this conversation. I had already spoken with her. My brother had found her through social media and explained the situation, and she promptly gave us her contact information. "Hello, I apologize for calling again. It seems my husband is still misunderstanding the facts, so could you please reiterate what you confirmed earlier?" I set the smartphone to maximum volume and switched it to speaker mode, directing it towards my husband. The ex-girlfriend responded, slightly irritated. I didn't do anything. He invited me over saying he had something to give me, and all I did was listen to his complaints about his wife. Then his mother showed up, and the two of them got carried away with their conversation, and it was just a nuisance for me. I left as soon as I could. Honestly, I'm not fond of his mother, and I myself am married with children now, so I don't want any more involvement. My husband and mother-in-law were dumbstruck. Eh? She dislikes me. Ah? I might not remember because I was drunk. I didn't know she was married. Is one of you lying? My cold question was met with a wry smile from Neil. It's her. She just ran away because things got awkward, right? So really, I'm the victim here. You'll forgive me, right? Of course I'll forgive you too. There was nothing I wanted forgiveness for. Neil continued to avoid eye contact. He was clearly lying. My disgust grew. I shook off his hand as he tried to forcefully grab mine. Don't touch me with those filthy hands. I think it's natural for you to be angry right now. But someday you'll be able to forgive me. I was deceived by my loneliness, duped by my ex-girlfriend, and persuaded by Mom, and I hurt you. We can start over from scratch. Start over from scratch? Huh? Are you still drunk? What? I finally understood your true nature. I'm so glad I realized this before letting you hold our child. What? I can't hold my child? Of course not. The same goes for your mother. It's wrong that I can't hold my grandchild. Listen, I want to start over. I think I can change if I see the child's face. I can't believe those words, having seen him say, "We don't need kids." On the pet camera, there was no way his plea would move me. "You're the ones who wanted a divorce, right? I can't raise a child with someone so immature they don't even know what should be prioritized. You're going to take a father away from his child. Don't suddenly act like a father. A father like you is better off not being around. Start over from zero with your mother and get all the praise you want." I said this calmly. Neil's shoulders sagged in disappointment. Just then, the mother-in-law seemed to have an idea and said something. You've been so arrogant, but I'll sue you for secretly recording. And I'll also sue for the crime of taking away my grandchild and for disrespecting the elderly." How can she make up such bold stories? My brother, puzzled but calm, responded, "That lawsuit would certainly fail. It would be better for you not to pursue it. What do you know? It's a loss not to fight back. I can win if I sue." The mother-in-law was smug, but she was unaware of my brother's profession. Quietly, he took out his business card. "What? You work at a law firm?" "Yes, speaking as an attorney, I must tell you that it's a case we cannot take. Pursuing this lawsuit would be a waste of effort and money." Facing their astonished looks, I pressed on. "Indeed, not fighting back would be a loss. We will also file a suit and request a fair division of property from the two of you." What? Just then, the cats woke up from their nap and started meowing. Before my allergies act up, it's time to leave. Wait a minute. You're kidding, right? Can't be. Leaving the clamoring pair behind, I returned to my parents' home, where my beloved child waited. Later, the divorce was finalized. What I sought was a lump sum payment for property division and child support. My husband protested the divorce, claiming, "It's unfortunate for both the child and myself." Who is truly unfortunate here? It's me, betrayed by my husband, and our child who had no choice but to have such a father. It was clear this man was not suitable to be a father. The criticism from the mother-in-law was even worse. Doesn't the future of an elderly woman and 4 pets matter? It's pitiful that a grandchild has to be raised by such a terrible mother. I dismissed her criticism outright. Please don't drag the pets into this. I was relieved that my mother-in-law, who had plans to make my child take care of her, was gone. I wanted my child to live freely. They said they at least wanted to continue living in the house we had just built. It was a jointly owned house, but since my personal space had been violated, I no longer wanted to live there. Eventually, considering the lump sum payment for child support, I decided to sell the house. The house became someone else's, and I received the sale proceeds in one lump sum. A refreshing feeling of starting anew. Since this was what my ex-husband wanted, he must be satisfied. In fact, my brother skillfully manipulated the two of them, quickly steering the situation towards a resolution. I was always being supported. "I'm sorry for involving you in this situation." I apologized, and my brother said, "It's natural for me to protect my sister, and when a good person shows up next, make sure to introduce him to me first." My still concerned brother said, "For now, I plan to focus on raising my child. I don't have the luxury of time to scrutinize men." Yet, despite thinking this, I ended up exchanging contact information with a classmate from middle school when I ran into him at the hospital during an allergy test. He was a nurse, extremely busy, and our relationship continued with occasional emails amidst our busy lives. Incidentally, the test confirmed that I indeed had a cat allergy. I really like cats, so it was disappointing. A few years after saying, "Let's have dinner when things settle down," we finally started dating, and after several more years, we got married. Over a long period, My brother and I took the time to determine whether he was suitable to be a father to my child. Now we will build happiness together.